Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Welcome, Friday evening services. Bethel Congregation in Baltimore, welcoming those of you joining us here live in the Berman Rubin Sanctuary, those of you joining us online this evening via the broadcast of tonight's service on the Bethel Facebook page and Bethel YouTube channel. Shabbat Shalom, Kabbalat Shabbat services, beginning in Siddur Chadash on page 12 with Yedid Nefesh.
Yedid Nefesh of Harachaman Mishavtecha Eretz Zonecha Yarutz Avtecha
Turn to page 2223, the first of the 6 psalms that make up the core of the Kabbalat Shabbat service. L'chu Neranan.
Sing with me. L'chu Neranan l'Adonai, Nariya Litzor Yishenu. L'chu Neranan l'Adonai, Nariya Litzor Yishenu. Nikadma Vanav V'toda.
Page 26, 27.
La
on the bottom of page 26, Or Zarua.
Or zaru ala tzadik, ule yishrei lev simcha. Or zaru ala tzadik, ule yishrei lev simcha. Yirida, 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 yada, da, 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 yirida, 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 yada, yada, da, da, da. Yirida, 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 yada, da, da, yada, ya, yirida, yirida, yada, da, yada, yada, da, da, da. Simchu tzadikim b'Adonai, ve'odu lezecher kodsho. Simchu tzadikim b'Adonai, ve'odu lezecher kodsho. Yirida, 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 yada, da, 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 ya, yirida, 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 yada, yada, da, da, da. Yirida, 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 yada, da, da, yada, ya, yirida, yirida, yada, 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 da, da, da.
Page 28, 29, Psalm 98.
Zameru l'Adonai bechinor, bechinor, v'kol zimra. Try that with me. Zameru l'Adonai bechinor, bechinor, v'kol zimra. Zamaru 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 l'Adonai bechinor, bechinor, v'kol zimra.
Page 30, toward the middle of the page, Romamu.
Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu le'hakodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu le'hakodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu.
Turning to page 34, 35, last of the Kabbalat Shabbat Psalms, the 29th.
Yada shalom. Lo merkavod, Adonai lama mul yashav ve'yishev, Adonai melech leolam, Adonai od le'amo yitei, Adonai yivarech damo v'shalom. Ay, adai, adai, adai. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Just reminding folks where exits are, the Berman Rubin Sanctuary, obviously the exit at the back of the room, 2 exits to my right, to your left, and 2 exits also to my left, to your right, and we move from the songs of Kabbalat Shabbat to the melodies of Mariv, Cantor King.
The sun is going down, it's shining through the trees. Another week's gone by, become a memory. So put away your hammer, there's nothing left to do. Come inside and find the gift that's waiting here for you. Oh, it's time to say good Shabbos, 'cause all your work is done. Gonna spend the day together with the Holy One. Make a special blessing on a cup that's filled with wine. Man and his creator, it's a very special time. Our candles will be burning, filling our homes with light, singing songs of Shabbos far into the night. So put away your hammer, there's nothing left to do. Go on home and find the gift that's waiting there for you. Oh, it's time to say, 'cause all your work is done. Gonna spend the day together with the Holy One. Make a special blessing on a cup that's filled with wine. Man and his creator, it's a very special sign.
Pausing now, we'll remember with reverence the sites of our beloved departed observed until sundown this evening, 4th day of Sivan. Kate Mildred Copeland, Abraham Hurwitz, Frederick J. Krieger, Leon Kurick, Ruth L. Lavin, Jay Lykin, Selma Littman, Robert Muleisen, Dr. Donald Rodbell, Jane Ruth Rosenberg, Sidney Rosenfeld, Leonard Saville, Anshul Sekulow, Betty Smelkinson, Royce Tucker, and Bernice Weinstein. Zecher Tzadik Livracha. May their righteous memories continue to bring blessing into all of our lives, together saying Amen.
Amen.
And in solemn testimony to that unbroken chain of faith, those who are in mourning, anyone else, if you're observing Yahrzeit, will you please rise? Mourner's Kaddish, page 124, 124, Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
V'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei. V'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael v'agala v'zman kariv v'imru. Amen.
Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah mevorach leolam ulalmei almaya.
Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudsha
Riku.
Leila minkol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran v'alma v'imru. Amen.
Amen.
Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen.
Amen.
Oseh shalom v'imrumav v'ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen.
Amen.
May be seated, turning back in our prayer books to page 38 for Lecha Dodi.
Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nikabla. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nikabla. Shamol v'zachor b'dibur echad, Ishmianu el Amichad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shem u'tiferet v'litehillah. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nikabla. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki mekol habracha. Merosh mikerem nesucha, sof maseh v'machshava tehillah. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nikabla. Mikdash melech yirmelucha, u'mitzi mitoch ha'afecha. Rav lak shevet be'emek ha'bacha, ve'hu yachmol alayich hemla. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nikabla. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nikabla.
Rising together, concluding stanza, page 40.
Ovi v'shalom ateret ba'ala, gam mesimecha u'v'sahala. Toch emoneh am segula, boi kala. Likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nikabla. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nikabla.
Pausing now, we'll offer condolences from the congregation to members of our community who have been bereaved during the past week. This week to the family of the late Harvey Davidoff, to the family of the late Sonia Friedman, and to the family of the late Rhea Flora Jacobs. Bottom of page 41, joining together, traditional Friday evening greeting for mourners. Hamakom yenachem etchem betoch sha'ar avelei Zion b'Yerushalayim. May the Holy One who comforts Israel grant you solace in your bereavement. And we'll remain standing, turning together to page 50 for Baruch Hu.
Bareku et Adonai Hamavorach. Baruch Adonai Hamavorach leolam va'ed.
May be seated. On page 51, continuing with responsive reading, page 51, Karen and Matthew, I believe, yeah.
All right. O Lord, your word brings on the evening twilight, the heaven proclaims your glory.
We, your creatures on earth, behold in wonder your endless miracles. Help us to recognize your guiding power in distant galaxies and in our souls.
Teach us your law of righteousness and love, so that your Spirit may govern our lives.
Source of peace, bless our worship. May our meditations find favor in your sight.
May our gratitude for your wonders lead us in love to your service.
So that, like the changing seasons, the days, the nights, our lives too will proclaim your glory. Amen.
ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני המעריב על אביב. אהבת עולם בית ישראל עמך אהבת. תורה ומצוות חוקים ומשפטים אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו ובקומנו נשיח בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו לאורך ימינו, ובהם נגה יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד.
V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol me'odecha. V'hayu hadvarim ha'ele Asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al livavecha. V'shinantam livanacha v'dibarta bam, v'shiftecha b'veitecha, uv'lachtecha v'derech, uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha. Ukshartam laot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot beinenecha, uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha, uvisharecha. May be seated, continuing with the Shema's middle paragraph, page 56, 57.
והיה אם שמוע תשמעו למצוותיי.
And middle of page 57, reading together. Therefore, keep these words of mine in your heart and in your soul. Bind them as a sign upon your arm. Let them be a reminder above your eyes. Teach them to your children, speaking of them when you are at home and when you are away, when you lie down at night and when you rise up in the morning. Write them upon the doorposts of your homes and upon your gates. Thus your days and the days of your children will be multiplied on the land, which the Lord promised to your ancestors, for as long as the heavens remain over the earth. Page 58, 59.
ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור דבר. אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
On page 60, toward the middle of that page.
ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם משה ובני ישראל לכאן ושירה בשמחה רבה גמרו כולם. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדע בקודש, תורה תהילות עושה פלא, תורה תהילות עושה פלא. מלכותך ובניך, וכהים לפני משה, זה עליינו ואמרו, זה עליינו ואמרו. אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
And turning to page 63, again, we'll continue with responsive reading. Page 63.
Ooh, it's a princess. Shabbos queen.
All right, sorry, we're here, sure. Help us, O God, to lie down in peace, but teach us that peace means more than quiet.
By day.
Grant us the peace that comes from honest dealing, so that no fear of discovery will haunt our sleep.
Rid us of resentments and hatreds which rob us of the peace we crave.
Liberate us from enslaving habits, which disturb us and give us no rest. May we so live that we can face the world with serenity and with grace.
May we feel no remorse at night for what we have done during the day.
May we lie down
And
in
then
peace tonight and
awaken
awaken tomorrow to a richer and fuller life.
Amen.
Thank you.
ושמור צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ולשלום מעתה ועד עולם ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך ברוך אתה אדוני הפורס סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל הפורס סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם בששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ וביום השביעי שבת וינפש וביום השביעי שבת וינפש יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה ועלמא דברה כלותה ועמליק מלכותה וחיי כל נוביון מכון ובחיי לכל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב וימלאו אמן יהי שמי אבא מבורך לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי קודשא בריחו לעילא מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמא ויאמרו amen.
Rising together, evening Amidah for Shabbos begins page 69 and is recited quietly. Quiet prayer beginning page 69.
שלום רב על ישראל עמך ועל כל יושבי תבל. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. שלום רב על ישראל עמך ועל כל יושבי תבל. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך ועל כל יושבי תבל. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם.
May be seated, continuing on page 80.
La 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 la. ויקולו השמיים והארץ וכל טבעם, ויקל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה, וישבות ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה. ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי ויקדש אותו, יבוא שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. La 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 la. יבוא שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה. האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, העליון, קונה שמיים וארץ. מגן אבות בדברו, מקיים מתים במאמרו, האל הקדוש שאין כמוהו, המניח לעמו. ביום שבת קודשו, איבם רצה להניח להם, איבם רצה להניח להם, לפניו לעבוד ביראה ופחד, ונודה לשמו בכל יום תמיד בין הברקות. אל ההודעות אדון השלום, מקדש השבת וברך שבי, ומניח בקדושה dushne oneg tekel lemase verishi Itkadash mirba Almadi v'dakiru tevi amikmal kuteve kaikonu v'mekonu kercho v'Israel Magalam izman karive imeru Amen Leheshver Rabba mevarak Ve'alam ulal ve'almaya Yitvarak v'ishtabak v'itvoa v'shoma v'nase V'yitadav v'yitalev telav shemere kudisha V'rekbo le'el amin kol bekata v'shirata Tush bekata v'nekamata Damiran ve'alma ve'imeru Amen. Titkabal toloton vaton kol Israel kadam v'hon v'shamai ve'imeru. Amen. Yehesh lama rabba v'shamai v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Israel ve'imeru. Amen. Oseh shalom v'mama v'hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Israel ve'imeru.
Molly Keene, who tomorrow morning will celebrate her bat mitzvah, comes forward to lead the congregation in the Friday night Kiddush. Those of you joining us at home, I'd encourage you to take up a libation of your choice. We'll rise together here in the Berman Rubin Sanctuary. If you want to follow the text of the Kiddush, it's on page 90. Friday night Kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'achava uraton hinhi lanu zikaron lama'aseh v'reshit ki hu yom tehillah למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים, כי באנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת, מכל חיים, ושבת קודשך, ואחווה ורצון, הנחתנו. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat.
Ask if you please remain standing as we're going to count the Omer. Very special night of counting the Omer. Turning to page 732 in our Sidurim, 732. And those of you who are with us, services throughout the Sphira, the counting of the Omer, know there's a little shtick, which is that you're not supposed to say the night of the Omer. But I can tell you that tonight is the last night of counting the Omer. The last night of counting the Omer. Cantor will lead us in the bracha on page 732.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sefirat ha'omer hayom tisha v'arba'im yom shehem sheva shevot la'omer.
Tonight begins the 49th day of the counting of the Omer. You may be seated. Cantor, I don't remember if,
Me neither.
if we did we ever conclude the Sphira on a Friday night? It must have happened.
Must
at
have
some
happened
point.
in all the years,
I just don't.
75 years. we've been-
I don't remember. I don't remember.
But it is unusual.
Yeah, it's unusual that, the way the counting works, it's 7 times 7, days of the Omer, and you start counting the second night of Passover. So the way the holiday cycle works, it must have been at some point, one point or another, that we would have finished the counting on a Friday night. I just don't remember. Anyone remember that happening? Susan, do you remember? Yeah, Susan will remember because she was a math teacher in an earlier life, so numbers might stick in her head in a different way. Do you remember when it was? Okay, so it would have to be that same cycle, that the second Seder would be on a Saturday night, and then it would fall out that, which does happen. It's unusual. It's nice that we can conclude the counting together. And if you think about counting, we Jews actually kind of like to count things, so we're just engaged in this counting of 49 days. I mean, it's 7 times 7 days. We have, of course, how many commandments? We have, so I heard some 10s and some 613s. Yes is the answer. Both of those, so they're sort of the 10 commandments, the Aseret HaDibrot, as they're called, which you find in Exodus 20 and again repeated in Deuteronomy. And then, of course, the 613 commandments that they say, that's how the commandments in the Torah are counted out. So 613 total commandments, the 10 special commandments. We have, how many blessings are you supposed to say in a day? 100 blessings? Yeah, so a traditional Jew will make sure to recite 100 blessings in the course of a day. How many soundings of the shofar on Rosh Hashanah? Traditionally 100. Steve, did you say that? Yeah, traditionally 100. So we like to count things. Even in the sense of mourning, when we have losses, we count, there's Shiva, and then there's Shloshim, which is 30 days, and then there's the longer period if you're mourning a parent, which is very precisely counted out. It's very precisely calculated. But the one thing we do not count is what? Say it again, Canterblatt. We don't count Jews. Yeah, according to the tradition, you're not supposed to count people, particularly Jews, actually. You're not supposed to count people. So part of that comes from, there's a hint at it, at least in the beginning of the Torah portion that Molly will be reading from tomorrow morning, where it says that the Israelites are supposed to enact a census, take a census of the population. Particularly, they're interested in males 20 years and older, probably because they want to have a sense of what they'll have in terms of a military force if they have to engage in battle and military action. And so they basically say, in the Torah, it says, take a census of the Israelite males according to their tribes, according to their houses, those who are 20 and older. And Rashi, who's the medieval sage, Rashi lived in France 1040 to 1105, or Rashi states. I will quiz you on that later. Arthur, I will ask you that later. So Rashi curiously comments, it's a straightforward verse. It's like, take a census, count the people. And Rashi says, al yad shekalim, Rashi says. So Rashi says, count the people, but do it by using a shekel. In other words, what Rashi wants, he's saying, don't count the people. Have each person turn a shekel in, and then count the shekels, so you avoid counting the people, right? And by the way, so how do you get a minyan? Because you need a minyan. How do you count and know if you have a minyan or not? How many people in a minyan? So if you're in a traditional shul and they have like 8 people or 9 people or 10 people or 11, they need to count how many, they'll actually use the motzi. They use the motzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam ha'motzi lechem min ha'aretz. It's 10 words. So that's how they do it. They use the motzi, because then you're not counting people, you're counting the words. There's this sense in Judaism that you should not count people. Now, why is that? Why is that? And, we're in an age where we commonly talk about big data. It's a term that gets thrown around, which is basically a way of taking people's behavior, mostly online, and analyzing it using numbers, right, using algorithms. And also, because we have so much information available to us, we commonly are reporting statistics. So like recently, you've seen a lot of statistics, how many people have died because of gun violence in the last month or 6 months or year or whatever it is, last 10 years actually, seen that statistic as well. And of course, we're tracking COVID statistics very, very carefully. Just as I was driving over and listening to NPR, and they were reporting COVID statistics for Maryland, not just the percentages, but exactly how many people are in hospital beds and how many people have died and how many people are in intensive care, they even said when I was driving over. So breaking down everything in numbers and describing people by numbers. And the tradition is sensitive to that or aware of that and doesn't like it, because when you start describing people by numbers, they become numbers, and they're not people anymore. And that's why we tell stories about people. When you tell a story about someone, so you go to the paper, whatever your paper of choice is, read a story about a victim of gun violence. It's very different than seeing the number. If you read a story about someone who died of COVID, it's very different than looking at the Times and the 1 million plus. I mean, it's just a very different experience. We're people who tell stories. Jews are people who tell stories, and you can't tell a story by putting a number on someone. You have to tell a story by putting a name on them and then telling the story. Debbie's looking at me because Debbie and I both love to read so much. Right, Debbie? Stories are important. So when you see the numbers, don't forget that behind every single number, there's not only a name, but there's a person, and every person that's behind the name, that's behind the number, has a story. And it's the stories that we have to remember. Shabbat Shalom. If you'll please rise for Aleinu, page 118.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות אדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו לגביהם מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, כך כתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים, השמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Pausing now, we'll remember with reverence the art sites of our beloved departed, observe sundown this evening till sundown tomorrow evening, 5th day of Sivan. Natella Alishvili, Anna Blaustein, Eva Deutschman, Doris Feintuch, Morris Feintuch, Louis H. Gould, Morris J. Katz, Sidney Monshine, George Nussbaum, Gertrude Geet Nussbaum, Roseanne Peaver, Bernard Polikoff, Dr. Frank F. Schuster, Florence Schwartzman, Mildred Seidman, Sadie Schuster, Mrs. Karen Silverman, Robert Steinberg, Susan Lev Tyrstein, Miriam Wallach, and Samuel Zlotowitz. Zecher Tzadik Livracha. May their righteous memories continue to bring blessing into all of our lives. Together saying Amen. solemn testimony to that unbroken chain of faith. Those who are in mourning, those observing Yartzeit, please rise now. Mourner's Kaddish, page 124. 124, Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah.
Amen.
V'yalma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei. V'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael ba'agalav v'zman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yahei shemei rabbah mevorach la'olam u'lamei maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudsha barichu. La'ela minkol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran bi'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imrumav v'ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru.
Amen.
May be seated. Schedule of services for the remainder of the weekend. Tomorrow morning, Shacharit services beginning at 10 o'clock. Also a reminder, Shabbos morning at 9 a.m. on Zoom, Torah study class meets. 10 o'clock service will be here in the Berman Rubin Sanctuary. Tomorrow evening, services here, Mincha Marav, in the Gorn Chapel to begin at 7:45. And tomorrow evening after the service, relatively brief service, Tikkun Leil Shavuot, traditional evening of study that we enact on Shavuot Eve, reminiscent of receiving the Torah in ancient times at Sinai. So that will begin about 8:30, a variety of sessions. Cantor King, what are you teaching?
I'm teaching what's the difference between a mountain and a bush?
A mountain and a bush, okay. And Cantor Blatt? Gender diversity in the Talmud. Talmud actually has a lot to say about gender diversity. It's interesting. So the mountain is Sinai, the bush is that.
I don't know.
We'll come.
I was hoping you knew the difference between a mountain and a bush.
Exactly. So it should be a really fun evening tomorrow evening. And Yontif services, Sunday will be the first day of Shavuot. Yontif services beginning at 10 a.m. And Monday, day 2 of Shavuot, services beginning at 10. Monday, Yizkor will be recited. Sometimes folks ask about what time is Yizkor recited, give or take around 11 o'clock, something like that. Our service this evening will conclude singing together Shalom Aleichem, which you can find on page 16.
Special song in honor of Shavuot, on which we celebrate the giving of the Torah. Shalom Aleichem, Malekei Hasharet, Malekei Elyon, Melech Malkei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boakem LeShalom, Malekei HaShalom, Malekei Elyon, Melech Malkei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Bachuni LeShalom, Malekei HaShalom, Malekei Elyon, Melech Malkei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Seichem LeShalom, Malkei HaShalom, Malekei Elyon, Melech Malkei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Torah, 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 Tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 Tziva lanu Moshe. Hey! Shabbat Shalom. He wants another one. Uh-oh, someone else is coming up for a lollipop. Anybody want a lollipop? You shop? Lollipop? Just her, right? You don't want a lollipop? They're too big for lollipops. Come on. I'm never too big for a lollipop. That's Shabbat Shalom. Superstar. Sounded beautiful. Better than rehearsal. Absolutely. We'd love to have her. Looking forward to tomorrow. Ah! Bye. I love your tiara. Shabbat Shalom. Ba-da-dee-da-dee. We should, especially me. I think I'm still turned on.